Well, welcome everybody. For those who are, early, we'll give you a little bit more, for your time here. And I was just explaining with what we're seeing while we're waiting for people to join and kind of go over the main, body of the webinar is what I'm showing is our networked IO command and control system. It's a software that runs on embedded computers or servers on your site. Um, this is not a hosted system in the sense that it's not running off in the cloud. It's running on a small embedded uh, video AI server that we built. It does both radar and video AI for classification of targets. You'll see that here as we go through this webinar. This is a live video feed, showing the classification. Nothing's moving, so that you're not we're not sounding any alarms or anything like that, which is nice about the combination of radar and video AI. The radar covers wide fields of view and gives us precise like GPS coordinates to the targets. So that way you only pay attention to what you care about. As you can see, like in the background here, you'll see cars driving by on this road out here. We're not paying attention to that. We don't really care about that area, so we're not doing any type of video AI alarming on that because we know that it's not in our area of interest, and so we can define these geographical zones here, um, and we can say, okay, let's go to our zone settings and let's move this out of the way here for a second. We can say, okay, this is the area. This geographic like geofence is my area that I care about for drones. Here's my area here that I care about for these. Let's see, like this driveway area or this area right here. This is one of my alarm zones, so I can make it precise. And it's just really simply a matter of click and point to draw those and say, now this is the area that if there are people, vehicles that are coming through at night, off hours that I want to be aware of, I need to be alarmed on. And that's what the system does, is it brings in radar data, drone data, video, and does video analytics, and then sets alarms, then cues that over to video management systems like Milestone, Genetec, and Honeywell ProWatch, all of those type of things. So you get a lot of hooks into different things like that. So I can also go into history mode and see what happened over the past little while here. Let's go into history. And let me shut this down so I can see some stuff. So here we go. Looking over the last few days here. So from the 15th to the 21st. And say I only want to look for drones. So I'm going to say I'm going to set up my filter here. And I want to look for things that are alarmed, that has the target or the intent of unknown. So they'll show up as yellow tracks. And then I'm saying, okay, I just want to see the targets that are drones and drone pilots. And I can see here over the last few days, quite a bit of drone activity. There was an event over here in the park. You can see the operator was operating right over here for a while. And then we had another operator that was over in this area. We had somebody flying over here off of this hill right there. And got quite a bit of air traffic here. If I zoom out, see more. Let's get some more tracks here. I got 230 tracks over the last few days. So this is all drone traffic in this kind of suburban area. We got this office complex here. Obviously some of this right here, this is ours, where we got our drone pilot here. and then flying out and about. And you can see we got picking up drones flying all the way down, a couple of kilometers away over here. You can see their path that they fly. So this is fairly typical. Um, and I'm always amazed as we go into a new site to see like just how much drone traffic there is on just a regular basis. Whether it's just people playing with their new toy or real estate agents getting a new place, you know doing a video uh, demonstration out of it, um, or someone doing a survey, or you know somebody doing surveillance, trying to figure out what's going on. Lots of different drone traffic happens. Uh, and let's pull up another one, shall we?
As Logan starts to pull these up and show you guys a little bit again, we're gonna get started in about 5 minutes, guys. But let me encourage you to, if you have any questions, drop them into the Q&A as we go. We'll hold some time at the end to go through that. So I encourage you, put them in there as they come up as you go. We won't get to them to the end, but you can toss them in there so that you don't forget.
Thanks, John. So here's another one. This is in Provo. It's it's about a little over a kilometer away from the BYU football stadium here, and we did a number of different events, and we'll talk about. We're tracking drones around the stadiums in real time. This is just different people out there. Let's see, got another 220 tracks here over the last week in that area. Quite a bit. Got some up on the mountain. That's pretty high up there. Let's take a look at altitude. And I can plot all kinds of different data with this. I want to see how high they were flying. Save that. Oops. So you can see we've got, wow, they're up at almost 7,800 feet. Of course, that's where they were, taking off from. So up on that top of the mountain there, you can see some of these got pretty high. The, kind of like the ground elevation there is about 4,850 feet. So these are, starting to get up there. This one in particular, that here at 5,200 feet, that's getting pretty high. All right, we're almost ready to get started here. I'll switch over. And we'll just take a little pause here for a couple minutes, and then we'll get started. And for those that are just joining, there's a Q&A or the chat group that you guys that you can select and put in your questions. Jamie will be helping to monitor that and making sure that we don't miss it as we're going through this. Right. Well, let's get started. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Logan Harris. I'm the CEO and founder of Spotter Global. We've been doing business as a company since 2009, so 16 years now, going on 17. Really kind of did this company back really stimulated from the 9/11 event, and was doing small radar systems for monitoring traffic flow for freeways and highways. After 9/11 happened, that spurred myself and some of the other engineers that was working with this company doing the traffic radar, small radar systems, to say, what else can we do to help protect um, people and infrastructure, and that's where I started doing radar systems for the military, and defense applications. Started with imaging radar that goes on drones. Uh, then we got approached back in 2007 and 2008 by DARPA, who was supporting a program for special forces where they were going out in these village stability operations to protect these small groups. They needed small, lightweight radar with like a kilometer range on a person, and that's what we built. And that was kind of like the genesis of the company, and also kind of the product category of compact surveillance radar. And since that time, we've pivoted also into critical infrastructure, substations, power plants, but we also do things like events, looking in these large areas. And now we're very excited to be working in conjunction with best-in-class trailer systems being provided by Mobile Pro. So I'll turn it over to Jon. Uh, Go ahead, introduce yourself, and let's get started.
Yeah, thanks, Logan. Jon Harris here. No relation, but ideologically aligned on protecting
Yeah,
protecting things and building great technology. So a little bit about Mobile Pro, and then I'll add a little bit about myself. So Mobile Pro actually founded around the same time as Spotter. And really, our founders focused on the opportunity in the marketplace to deliver well manufactured technology in places where power or to deliver security technology in places where power and communication are hard to come by. And so you think about the delivery of high-end security technology away from the built environment, outside of where buildings are, into remote areas, parking lots, critical infrastructure, the middle of a park, just anywhere where you're not going to have Ethernet connection, you're not going to have power, and those components need to still have protection and have technology delivered. So over the last 15, 16 years, we've kind of refined and developed a great package of both trailers and then pole mounted security units. And we partner with best in class technologies like Spotter, but other VMSs and analytics and communication technology, and assist end users with putting those places really wherever they need them and wherever they want them. I've been in the security industry for about 20 years, started out as an end user, and then have been in the technology partnership and product development for about the last 8 years. And I had the product management and technology team at Mobile Pro. And excited to discuss this topic with Logan today and answer any questions that the group may have.
great. Well, let's dig into it. The reason why we're here is, we're looking at these type of large events that are occurring. We've got the FIFA World Cup that's coming up, but there's always, whether it's Major League Baseball uh, or football. I mean, they've got these large events. Obviously, most of them are not enclosed. They're wide open, and while they do have like some sort of ground perimeter security, the problem is that now having access to a very capable drone is now really just open to anyone. And so you have all of this now. You have all this airspace that you have to be concerned about. So let's take a look at this problem. This is the problem you're trying to solve. Here's your here's your facility, and you've got this large open space. Uh, Now, not only are you concerned about the perimeter here, but you all are also needing to protect from drones that could fly into the stadium and wreak havoc. So how are you going to do this? This is a problem. The other problem is you might be on a very short timeline. You may not have a year or two to get ready. You may only have a month or a couple months. So how do you solve that problem? That's what we're going to go over here is saying what to do here. So let's get into this. So first of all, let's take a look at the different counter drone technology. First you got to know that it's there. That's the first step, detection. If you don't know that it's there, then you really can't do anything else about it. There is, quite a few different types of technology out there. There's cameras, there's acoustics, there's thermal, that's the IR, radio frequency, there's radar, large radar, compact radar, and then remote ID. So those are kind of like the main detection technologies. They all have some pros and cons. They all kind of have some different applicabilities with where they fit. One of the main things as you're looking at this site is just the scope of like how large it is. I mean, if you're looking at this, if you're trying to say if I want to cover this with cameras and you want to see a drone out at a few hundred yards, that's going to give you a very, very, very narrow field of view. So that's one of the main limitations of just using optics or thermal is just the size of the coverage. But that's where these other technologies come in. Radio frequency, that picks up the broadcast signal from the drones. They can have a much wider field of view. However, the drawback of that is that you then are unable to detect dark drones. Same thing with remote ID that you can see here on the bottom of the screen. That also is as a listening device that listens for the broadcast. So since September of 2022, all commercial drones have been building in this broadcast signal. So think of it as like a license plate reader for drones. They broadcast this signal, or if you're familiar on the flight side, ADS-B is like a transponder that broadcasts the signal of where the aircraft is located, as well as their identifying information. Same thing with remote ID. It does the same thing. Again, with both the RF sniffers or the radio frequency sensors, and with the remote ID, if they're running dark, meaning they're not broadcasting, they could be running on waypoints, or now that we're seeing things like fiber optically guided drones, there's no emissions for those sensors to pick up, so they won't pick those up. Then you have radar. Radar is good in the sense that it doesn't rely on any emissions from the drones. It basically just picks up the reflected signal. It's broadcasting a signal out there, looking at the returns from everything that's out there, and saying, okay, we've got something moving. That's also, it's one of its drawbacks is because it sees everything, then you need to have a way to differentiate between birds and drones. And that's where optics and thermal with video AI can come into play. So kind of here's kind of like a little breakdown of what the different technologies, kind of rough estimates of what they cost. Remote ID is the cheapest to begin with, and also has zero false alarms. That's its key, because it is just picking up a broadcast signal. It's not going to alarm on a just a Wi-Fi access point. I've seen where RF sniffers alarm on other radios, off of trucks. They have a bunch of different radio systems on trucks that are broadcasting, and seen that RF sniffers will pick up alarm on those. With remote ID, there's zero false alarms. Again, drawback is that if it's not one of these commercial off-the-shelf drones, then it's not going to pick it up. Then you got over to the radar side. you got compact radar, and then you have these large radars, then you have a bigger scale in terms of the price. Also, you have higher levels of false alarms. So that's where you really need to start coupling that with video analytics. Now, with this, then I'm going to switch over and show you a live system, just to kind of keep this interesting. So I'm going to switch over. I was showing some of the people who joined early, just kind of these different systems here. This is, I'll zoom out a little bit here so you can get the full scope of this. And I'm going to be able to show you here in this one site. Let me zoom in. It's right here located on the top of one of the house of one of our employees. It's in the vicinity of this stadium. And I looked over, I went into the history and looked in the last, 30 minutes, or sorry, the last week, and said, let's take a look at what's there. And this is the type of drone traffic that's been there in this last week. Over, let's see how many flights we have here. So 220 flights out there in this area, and that's just this one area. And this is all picked up by this one sensor in this one location. So it's got a 3-kilometer range, and with that, you're able to see the position of the drone. Also you can get the serial number and you can also see the position of the operator. So that's really key, because many times you may not have authority to do jamming, but with remote ID you can see, okay, well, here's my operator out here. There I was on the top of the mountain. On this one, we can see that this person was flying out here along this roadway and flying these drones over the top of these buildings. Why? Can't really tell you, but you can investigate that. Let's switch over to this other system. So we got another system at our headquarters, and this one right here, you can see has a little bit less traffic. I went over to the last year here, the last 5 days, looking for drone pilots, and you can see we're getting some also up on the mountains here. You see there's somebody who's flying up here on this ridge. You can see that's quite a large area. Now let's see if we've got a live system. So right here, it's we're tracking the targets. Let's say, let's turn on everything here. Okay, so we just tracked. So this one is doing both ground and air. The system right here is we've got ground radars tracking the vehicle, and then identifying. You see, it just classified that we saw the person there. Okay, now we just had a drone flight here. We just picked up the drone, and I'm going to switch over to my drone thermal camera. You can see it's coming in right here. We got the classification working. So with that, we're able to see both, the ground targets simultaneously. We're queuing the cameras here onto target. You can see that we're switching between the different systems, while at the same time we're tracking this drone out here in live. So that's one of the things. I'll pull this up. So I'm going to switch over to show you how you can also pull up, and this is really very useful, is to be able to see the unique information. So this is the serial number. So I'm going to save that. So with this, you can see the operator as well as the drone serial number, and that really helps you to identify, okay, is it the same one that's coming around? This can be used for forensics if it's been registered, or even if it hasn't been registered. You can still turn this over to law enforcement to be able to analyze what where they've been coming and back and forth from where they are. All right.
So
Go
Logan,
ahead.
let's chat a little bit about the it's amazing what you just showed in 10 minutes about what the platform can do. Let's put it in the context of whether it's a FIFA event or we have the Super Bowl coming in a couple of weeks. We have all these Davos right now over in Europe, like any large scale event. Um, let's think about like practical security is security in depth layers, right? And like you have different spaces and different places, different threat vectors, and what you just showed us is pretty interesting because it allows an entity, an end user to really cover themselves across the spectrum of issues, right? People walking in, um, vehicles, animals. You might want to block out that noise if you want to, maybe not, right? Aerial from the drone. Let's talk a little bit about that. Like how would you feel about practically deploying this at a site? You talked a little bit about cameras, right? If you were to put cameras out, you use Arrowhead as an example, in the middle of their parking lot, you need hundreds of cameras. You showed us with like a couple cameras and a couple of your units deployed, that type of deployment that you were able to do. So let's talk a little bit about that. Like how would you actually go and apply this at the site?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so and this is where it comes into the play of saying, now we have a sensor technology, we can know what is around us, but then is that going to work in the system? How are you going to install it? How are you going to communicate it? And then how is that going to interface with the rest of your security plans? Here's an example to start off with, showing the coverage area for like real-time tracking using the RDID. So I'd say this is kind of like the base system, where you'd have a remote drone ID with a long-range optical pan tilt camera mounted on either one of your power sentries or on one of your trailer systems that could be quickly deployed, because then in that case um, you don't have to put any infrastructure in there at all, and then you can take this data and you can communicate it through a number of different ways. I guess Jon, you how many different ways I guess can you like communicate this information, back to their operational centers?
Yeah, so I think you'll see on the screen here one of our power sentries, which is a pole-mounted unit that has the flexibility of being deployed with solar, being deployed with scheduled power. So if it's a light pole, it's always only on at night. You can have a battery pack in there with 24-volt lithium batteries that you charge and can hold that charge during the day and charge overnight, or shore power plugged in when you have it. So flexibility of what you have as far as power consumption, and then kind of what is both core to Spotter and Mobile Pro is the flexibility to use kind of whatever technology at the edge that you want. So if whatever VMS you have that you're pulling back in, whatever communication, our technology typically uses a cellular communication, modem, and then some router, 4G, 5G, some combination thereof, like very flexible. And so there's a lot, like we have kind of our standard that is tried true, that we know we deploy often, while also allowing the flexibility for the end user to choose maybe what they prefer. And then you're able to get both, like in the scenario of deploying Spotter plus Mobile Pro plus your technology, you have your VMS, you also have your VMS connected with Spotter's radar, and then we're able to give you health and usage management and control of your hardware, the Mobile Pro hardware, kind of down to the subcomponent level. We can show you that dashboard a little bit later, but that really allows you to say, if you want to have horns and strobes that trigger at the unit when it picks something up, you can build that interoperability, whether it's triggered by spotter, by your VMS, you can see there's an axis horn and strobe on there. So you could have a localized trigger that sets that off. You can do talk down if you notice that there was a vehicle or an individual approaching. You could control it that way. So it gives you a lot of flexibility to connect both the trigger and the intelligence of issues and situational awareness, and then your ability to respond to it without actually immediately having to send somebody out to there, especially at an event where you might have a lot of things going on, where you want to interact with the potential threat immediately, or communicate other things out to folks. That we have that capability both in the pole mounted or the flexibility of moving a trailer around and deploying it wherever is necessary, and moving it as you need to. And I think that's key with what you're doing with Spotter, is like the quick configurability that Logan just showed, and the customization that's available in the platform allows and enables that flexibility as well.
So maybe you can give everybody an idea of like how long does it, like for instance, if they're going to install one of these Power Sentry, how long would it take to get one, like the lead time, and also what's the length of time to do an install?
Yeah, so our typical lead time on these, if they're custom, it might be a little longer, maybe 3 to 4 weeks. If they're standard with kind of the technology that we use, access cameras or Hanwha, kind of your standard stuff, 2-week lead times on our product. And as far as deployment goes, it really is plug and play. I had the opportunity to help with the deployment right before the end of 2025. It took longer for the customer to put in the power drop than it did to install the actual Power Sentry. Hung it up on a wall in this type of deployment, plugged in, turned it on. It was using a cloud-based camera system where they were able to get connectivity immediately. And it was an hour to 90 minutes from unboxing to plugging it in to deploying. So so that's for the Power Sentry, and our mobile trailers, about 4 to 6 week lead time on those. Similarly, if there's high customization, that might be a little bit longer, closer to 6. But pretty quick turns on there. We manufacture everything right in our headquarters locations in St. Paul, and those show up ready to turn on and deploy. So really quick deployment capability there. We do an onboard training that we walk you through, and
Looks like we might have lost Jon there. But just to kind of on our side as well, we're able to provide our sensors pre-integrated with Mobile Pro to keep up with those same type of lead times, so you can get it very quickly and get it deployed very quickly with the Power Sentry or the trailer systems. We got a question that came up. I'm gonna answer that right here because we're talking about the RDIDs. I'll actually show you this. The question was, whether or not we have historicals, and I'm gonna switch over here. And Jamie, can you give me a thumbs up? Am I still good on the audio?
Yes, you're still good. You're still good on the audio.
Okay. Jon's also traveling today, so I'm sure he'll be jumping back in as soon as he figure out what's going on with his internet connection. So let me go here. So the question was, so you have the historical information about speed, history, where did it fly? Yes, so I'll go back to that and show you. Let's go over to our headquarters systems here again. And so this is the live time. This is the live drone that's flying right here. but I can also go into the history mode. And so let's go into, you click on history, you can see there's the live feed, but I can go in the history mode, and then I can see, okay, where things have been over the last, like I said, like in the last, 5 days here. And I'm just now filtering for all the different drones. You can see the path. Shut this down so you can see it better. So you can see here's the drone. There's the path that it went. You can see that it came around here. Another one, came over this side. You can see the serial number. So all that historical information is there. It's stored in the database. You can see kind of the summary over here in the track info window, and then you can also download it as a CSV file if you want to. This data also can be shared over to like our, fully integrated management center and go for that way. Okay, we got another question. Can it be integrated with a Milestone system? Yes, we've integrated with Milestone and Genetec, Vigilon, Honeywell ProWatch, many of those different ones. And what we do is, you see, like for Milestone, is we take and we digitized this GUI, this user interface with the map. We take this and turn this into an RTSP video stream in real time that you can consume just like any other video, and then you can set up actions that will trigger the events over in Milestone. And it's just a simple matter of coming in here to the different actions, adding an action to, say, trigger a network event, or like in a on-VIF motion event, or a script here. You can see here's the different ones we've got, like a Milestone analytic event. I tell it where to go, and it pushes that up, and I set up the rules to push that out. Okay, I got another question. What is the power requirements for the device? So let's switch back over to this. For remote drone ID itself, it takes, in kind of steady state, it's 12 watts of power, so it's pretty low power, and that means that it's easy to be powered. In this case, with the Power Sentry, that's using intermittent power. So, like, say you hook it up to a light pole where the lights only come in at night, then it has a battery pack to kind of sustain it during the day. And so that allows you to put, a camera and the device by having a very low power. You think about it, this 12-watt device is covering this very large area. Okay, got another question. Say, how is it best to use this information coming in real time? Well, for the remote ID in particular, this is really where the information about where the pilot is located. It looks like we got Jon jumping back in. If you think about what's happening right here in this system, we got our pilot that we've identified there, and looks like he's going to send me a chat. So not only did I, find where the drone was, and if we go back to the historical information, I can see where the pilot was located. So I can communicate that information. I can see right here. Okay, there's my drone pilot that was flying our drone, so I know where to send it, and I can relay that information, either through a VMS system or through some other way to alert the officials that they're there. And in fact, we did the event like this with the Provo police during there's a large 4th of July celebration, and there was 4 drones that overflew the stadium while the fireworks were going on, and we were able to share that information just through a web page to the police, and then they were able to go off that information because they could see okay, yeah, here's here's the operator was let's go pull this one up, and they could say, oh yeah, there's the operator. I'm going to send a patrol car over there to intercept, and they did interdict two of the two of the four operators during that event. Okay, got another question. Does it pick up drones that are not registered? So if they're not registered with the FAA, it will still pick them up. Um, I should also explain though, if it's an older drone, so it was, say the drone was built prior to 2022, then it won't be broadcasting that ID, and so it won't be picked up. All right. So I've got another question for, for integration with Max Pro, the Honeywell NVR VMS. Yes, it's very similar, a different event protocol, but still same thing where you take and digitize this as an RTSP stream that goes over to the Max Pro and then triggers an analytical event in Max Pro to say, okay, there's something here. And thanks, Jamie, for chiming in there on about that. So let's see, Jon, are you back on?
I am. I seem to be having a consistency with my Wi-Fi though, so I don't know if you can hear me. I've turned my video off to try to help with that.
Okay, so your audio is coming in good now.
Sure.
So I'm going to switch back over here to we're talking about, we talked a little bit about the kind of the details of some of the remote drone ID. So I'd like to say, okay, so that's for the kind of the clueless, the careless, but not necessarily, those with real malintent. And that would be the next step. It's saying, okay, well, what happens if you are also concerned about dark drones? Drones that are either non-compliant or old, or potentially that they've been disabled the remote ID. What would you do then? So the next step up, I'd say the that's good. Now this is the better, is to add air radar for detecting these dark drones. I've added here two AX250s. These are our rotating radar systems. This one right here, that creates a full hemispherical coverage. So it does kind of a electromagnetic evaluation in the vertical and then horizontal through rotation. And this covers this 250 meters for like a 1.5 kilogram drone. That's like a Phantom 4. For a larger drone, that would be up to 300 meters. And you can see this on this here, where we put one on each corner. So these can also be added to the trailers. They're not that much power either. Standard, after boot up, average power consumption is 22 watts per radar. So it's still quite low powered. Then, putting this with you can couple it. This shows like two different install points. We could also put this on a single installation point, and then add ground radars as well for tracking, below the field of view of the AX250, which are typically mounted, higher. And then if you want to look at ground traffic, then you can add ground radar. So you'd have the full suite, which would be drone ID, air radar, and ground radar, and then putting this on a larger trailer system. So Jon, can you tell us a bit about the trailer system? And maybe if you're working, you can show us kind of like your live monitoring system.
Yeah, let me try to share that. But yeah, so what's shown here is one of our commander platforms, and this is kind of our workhorse. Battery backup with generator backup plus diesel or standard fuel. And so these are meant to be deployed out for longer periods of times, days and weeks. And so these ones would be perfect for a an event lasting long periods of time, or something that it's, you know, semi-permanent. So a lot of law enforcement, municipalities, critical infrastructure, and things would use this. So this kind of like, you know, it can handle a little bit, you know, more cameras, you know, 3 to 5 cameras deployed. So it would also, in addition to fulfilling the needs of this kind of best scenario where you have to have this layered security, you also have localized security coverage, you know, kind of that day-to-day operational security, in addition to some of this event security. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to share a view of our tool called MP Status. So let me get this queued up for you guys. And this this tool right here. So this is our health and usage management platform. This is one of our demo trailers that we're showing here. But what this allows you to do, an end user could manage and kind of diagnose and operate down to the subcomponent level anything that's going on with their trailer. So I'm going to draw your attention over here to the middle under security. You can arm or disarm if you have motion sensors, other things at the level. You may have these integrated into a video management system or your access control system or not. They can be standalone. They can be integrated with other platforms that you have. Over here on the left, this is going to show you your power consumption and usage. As you can see, this is real time. So this demo is actively, you know, being operated, and so you can see these things moving. One of the things we're working on right now, which we'll deploy later this year, is more of a dashboard that would give you operational view of all your technology, whether it's one unit or hundreds. You'd be able to see some of these components on more of an aggregate level. But you know, this is showing you everything down to that subcomponent level. If you have strobes and lights, you can turn them on and off, alarm them. What's the generator doing? And then if these things move into an unhealthy zone, you can receive notifications for it. So your team can be notified. Our support team also has access to this and supports on your behalf. So if there's an issue with the trailer, we can hop on, diagnose it through this platform. You know, temperatures, the load management, it's all right here, and pretty detailed. And so also giving you the physical location and GPS. This is where our headquarters is located as well. And so, you know, we have a lot of access to very specific data and information to help the security of your security. So these technologies only work when they're working. And so we want to know, and we want you to know, if you're using our platform, I'm going to stop sharing now, exactly when and if these things are suffering from any preemptive unhealthy symptoms, and then allow you or your integrator that might be managing the platform for you, or our team who might be supporting you, to be able to address those issues immediately.
And I'd like to, you know, emphasize about how important it is to have that type of health information about a system, because it doesn't do you any good if, you know, you've got all these great sensors and you're not able to make sure that they're powered on properly. And, you know, of course, if anything's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong right in the most critical time, right in the middle of the event itself. And having that type of data that Mobile Pro provides gives you that real good sense of security that your system is up and functional, it's going to stay functional, and that's going to be there when you need it during the big event. So that's I think that's really good that you have that type of granularity and that type of data to provide that.
And it's a good point, Logan, because your system, if your spotter system is on our platform, it's plugged in and it's going to be powered, and so you'd be able to see that it's performing, you know, that it has power. You could power cycle it down to that subcomponent level. So it's you know, making sure, you know, we're not streaming video into our platform, you know, so we kind of keep that part of it separated so that we don't, for your purposes of privacy and security and those considerations, but the powering and the management of that physical platform, anything you have plugged in to a Mobile Pro system, you'll be able to have that functionality for.
And likewise, we do similarly. I'm going to share my screen on this part. So sitting on top of the networked IO C2 system is another layer of monitoring that we call integrated management center. And the integrated management center is a health and performance monitoring system that you're able to bring in many different installations, many different sites into a single view to see how things are doing, and within 2 clicks, find out where the source of the problems are. And we've got, like for instance, here we've got alarms, and over here we have health, and we can see, yep, we've got some camera downtime here, and I can click on that once, and I can see, okay, yeah, it came from the park video and AI system. I click into that, and now I can see, yeah, we were having communication issues with the mixed Starlight 7100. It looks like it's been resolved and we're good today. But that's, I mean, if you look at whether it's 100 sites or 10 sites, having this type of data about this awareness, situational awareness of how the health of your system and how everything is performing is really valuable. Because if you got multiple sites or even just one site, if you don't know how things are going, then you don't know if you're secure or not. So it's really important to do that. Same thing with back on to the alarm size, and this is a preview of our integrated management center 2.0, which has a map view, which you can see kind of your whole system. In this case, all of our systems are pretty tightly coupled around our headquarters here. We've got 3 different sites here, and I can see, okay, this one again is kind of in a trouble state. I can click into that. I'll select to say, okay, what put me into a warning state? Oh, looks like we had some interference, a couple days ago. So I can see that the timestamp, what it was, and I can resolve that very quickly. Or I can also look at the performance of when I have different tracks. I can see, okay, I've got here I have 5 alarms that occurred, and so I can go in and check them out, take a look at them, and see, okay, what's going on at that site. And then if I've got the cameras, then I can evaluate that and say, okay, yeah, that's looks like that was someone who shouldn't be there, and I can evaluate that and then do something about it. And that's all from this integrated management center, which is the layer up. That necessitates you have communication to a central location, but like Jon was saying, you can go through cell modems, other ones. In fact, Jon, weren't we just talking about how you've been adding Starlink into your systems as well?
Absolutely, yeah. It's becoming more and more common. We recently developed a quick deployment retrofit kit with Starlink and Starlink Mini that we have a lot of customers taking advantage of to retrofit their existing technology with Starlink.
And I'd like to point out that like this integrated management center is not a fully, like it's not cloud hosted, even though we can host it. This site that I'm hitting right here is sitting on a server or on an AWS cloud instance, but we deploy these many times on premise, in a data center that's being managed by our customers. So you're not tied into saying you have to be cloud. So many of our customers are very concerned about security and cannot have like a direct cloud access because of those security concerns. And so we deploy this on-prem many of the times. Okay, we got a question. We got a couple of questions here. One question I don't think we got to was, can we integrate with Genetec, and specifically the Genetec RSA tool? Yes, that is a very common method. They take our track information that passes over into the RSA Genetec tool. You can also with Genetec consume the RTSP feed separately from the networked I/O. If you want to do that as well, you can also do that as an option. Okay, there's another question. Does having trailer deployment speed and deployment of the radar and the spotter system alignment and calibration, like how long does it take to calibrate everything? Meaning every time one can deploy it, and can anyone deploy it? Yes, so that's a good question. Let me address it in a couple different ways. First, I turn it over to Jon in terms of setting up a trailer system. Time involved, training.
Yeah, usually it's like a 2 to 3 hour training to teach everyone to safely use the trailer. I mean, I want to emphasize that these are like highly engineered, high security technology equipment. So you're not just cranking a winch and up it goes, right? So these have there's some heft to them, and so it is critical to safely operate them. But once trained, it's pretty easy and quick to deploy. And so when we get you trained up by our customer success team, you're off and running in days, not weeks. And the ability to move these around, I mean, they come with a trailer hitch. Our smaller form factor, which is a Falcon, not the one we're showing here, much more mobile. You can put that more on like pull behind back of a smaller SUV or vehicle. Your larger truck, a Commander, that's going to need a bigger truck to move it around. But it can be moved around very, very easily, very, very quickly. So these are meant to have that flexibility and that deployment, and again, kind of meant to be very easily used, and training can happen very quickly.
On the sensor side, the remote ID is very simple to set up. Usually, yes, again, we do need to do some training, but within a few hours, setting up a remote ID is very simple, and we train like Jon's group for them to be also able to do that. For those who are moving around a lot, we can do a training session in person or on remote on how to do that. I'd say a little more complicated is if you're using a camera system and calibrating the camera so they can cue on target, then that's a little more complicated because you have to make sure that it's leveled properly, that you've got it lined up with the right GPS coordinates, and then also lined up so it's in the right bearings. That takes a little bit more training. Usually we have trained technicians standing by that can help with that. Someone who has been trained, usually it will take, per camera, anywhere between a half an hour to possibly an hour to do that full kind of configuration with the camera system. And we can do that remotely, especially with these trailer systems, through the cell modem or through a Starlink. We do also offer certification. That does take a little bit of time. We have this training methodology we call, see it, do it, teach it, to get to mastery level, where we're providing a lot of this information online so you can see it. Then you need to actually be able to do it with supervision, and then once you're able to do that, then you'll do it on your own. So there is some on that. Also on the radar system side, that also takes calibration, because you have to make sure that it lines up with the angle position. It does, we can sense, we can build these with GPS so that'll help it register, faster. So you can do that, but there is some calibration that has to be done to just dial it in so it can, line up with the camera system. So again, in that case, there is some training that is involved with that. We do have a training program for it. Or you can, have some of our our certified engineers to assist, and we do this remotely all the time, and that it usually takes an hour to, if you're having a system like this with a couple of radars and a camera system, then it takes a little bit of time to dial those in.
Logan, we have a few more questions for you. Richard Violette over in the Q&A asked, can you detect if multiple drones by definition a swarm, are being controlled by one operator position / location?
Yes, if they're, and could be kind of interesting because there are, like, for instance, if they are FAA compatible, so they're broadcasting their signal, you'll be able to see the operator and its location, so you can see, okay, I got a stack of operators all at this one location, so you could see that. There, I would put a caveat to that is that um, if maybe you've seen some of these drone shows where they're flying, 100, 200 drones simultaneously. Uh, those drones have an exemption where they are not broadcasting a remote ID. So those drones that are doing a drone show will not show up on a remote ID system. Uh, they will show up on a radar, but they are not going to show up on a on a remote ID. So you got to take that into account. If you're looking for swarms that are not compliant, that's where you'd want to move to radar. Any other
Awesome.
questions there, Jamie?
I don't know if Tom Heslin's question got answered. What is the field of view of a single device?
So the remote ID, that's what I'm showing here in the kind of the big green circle. This green circle is 750 meters. That's kind of where we say uh, that's where you want to be or able to do real-time camera queuing. Outside of that, you can still track, you can still detect out to 3 kilometer radius. For the air radars, it's 250 meters. That's this red circle right here. 250-meter radius in all directions. And then depending on the ground radar, it can go anywhere from 100-meter range out to 1,500-meter range. So very large areas for that sense with these small devices. And here's an example here of that range. Other questions,
Nice.
Jamie?
Yeah, Alex Kendrick, another question from him. Are there different ranges depending on the equipment? Also, how much does the environment affect its ability to detect drones? For example, city skylines or other man-made obstacles.
Yes. So for the remote ID, it's using either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth that it's looking at. So that's 2.4 gigahertz, 5.6 gigahertz that it listens to, or it's also Bluetooth. It's just kind of like the same thing that you see with your Wi-Fi signal or an access point. It can get through some walls, but if you've got large buildings that are in the way, it can create blind spots in that coverage. So if a drone flies behind a large skyscraper, and that skyscraper is not allowing enough of that energy to pass, then it will disappear. That's but at the same time, it's mostly line of sight, and if you're getting above, if you're getting above those buildings, both with your sensor as well as the drone, that's where you get the best performance.
GJK asks, does it pick up drones that are not registered?
So yes, it will pick up drones. The remote ID will pick up drones that are not registered but are still compliant. Most the manufacturers built in because they're required to build in this this remote ID broadcast. So even if they don't register with the FAA or any government agency, it's still built in. It's still broadcasting. It just means that they haven't registered in the database, but it'll still pick it up. With the radar system, you're going to be able to pick it up regardless. It doesn't matter if they're, not even broadcasting anything at all. However, with the radar system, one thing you don't get, like showing here, is you don't see where the operator is. You can see where the drone is. You can queue real time. You can do the video analytics, but you can't see where you can't see where the operator is.
And I think, Logan, that's the important part here is that, like, depending on your threat environment, a layered approach is critical, because if you think, you're not, one solution isn't necessarily going to pick up everything. But if you're just looking, if you don't feel like you're defending against dark drones, that's not a big concern for you. You may not address that if it's just like commercial drones in a space that you want to mitigate from them flying into things. But for the type of events we're talking about here today, FIFA, Super Bowl, Olympics, these things, like it would be you'd want to have all your bases covered. We did have another question come in quick that I just want to address about training. So we can talk about this both from Mobile Pro and Spotter, but it's the question is, can you access training online through a course or something? And so from a Mobile Pro perspective, we do have we have videos and training and things like that available through our portal that's being enhanced and improved. And then it's not as robust as our onboarding training, but it is available. From a Spotter perspective, Logan, how do people best access your training?
It's so once they are like a partner or a customer of ours, then we give them access to our online training portal. And we have a lot of information there that you can access. That won't take you to certification, but at least get you started with what's there. We are also setting up, starting on February 11th, we're going to be doing regular training webinars every month, at least once a month, if not more often, where we'll be doing the specific training of how to do the installation, commissioning, and configuration of these systems. And so if you're a partner of ours, we can give you access to that. Or if you become a partner, that's one way to get access. Then we do have individual training to get certified. That's back to the kind of like three-step process, the see it, do it, teach it process. To get certified, if through having experience and having actually hands-on and doing this, and you can demonstrate your competency to our training manager, then we offer certifications.
We have a follow-up question on milestone integration. Is it the same setup for Max Pro NVR/VMS?
Yes, it's very similar. It's a different. It is a different analytic event that we push over to Max Pro, but it's the same type of thing where we create an RTSP feed of the network.io user interface with the real-time map, and then that information gets captured as a video feed into Max Pro. And then when something happens that it is an alarm, then we trigger an event that goes into Max Pro that brings up that particular assigned cameras within the Max Pro system.
And last question, does your system integrate with Genetec and specifically the Genetec RSA tool?
Yes, we do, and it works very well. The one other thing I also wanted to point out here is the example. We talked about integration with Starlink. So I just wanted to show this is a system where we had a Pelco camera system with a remote ID and a Starlink all integrated together. So they want to be able to offload that information into the remote hosted system. And so that's, again, that's something we can offer based off of what the customer needs.
Yeah,
nice.
our intention is to make this platform available to quickly be able to be attached by trailer as well. So this either, as Logan has designed it in his team, you can have it on on a tripod out somewhere, but also it could be placed on a trailer and be kind of a complete platform that's deployed on a Mobile Pro unit as well.
Just a quick invitation to the audience. If you got good information from our webinar today and you'd like to see what other exciting things Spotter Global and Mobile Pro Systems are going to be coming out with in coming months, we invite you to follow us on LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn page links are in the chat. Give us a follow if you would, and we hope to see you for the next webinar.
Yes,
I think we have one more minute if someone wants to throw a last question in the chat.
We'll pack it in there. One last one. No, it doesn't look like it. I put, to put too much pressure. Oh,
Oh, what's our favorite
we did
color?
have somebody. What's your, okay, thanks, Alex. Uh, Black and gold. I like black and gold.
Mine's purple.
Spotter colors. There you go.
Well, Logan, I just want to say thank you and Jamie for allowing me to participate. I apologize for the technical difficulties we had about halfway through. I'm excited about our partnership. I'm excited about our platforms. I'm excited to protect the interests and the assets of our customers together, and just really appreciative for the opportunity to collaborate with you.
Yeah, and we just had a perimeter breach right there. Somebody just jumped the fence and doing something there by our trees. Gosh. Well, thanks everybody. Yes, Jon, it's been great. We're excited about the partnership with Mobile Pro. They have excellent build quality. We really liked how they put their systems together, and we're excited to be able to work together to help solve some of these security problems. So, reach out to us. We'll see how we can help.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
All right. See you.